Today, we move towards a funny story. Yes, it's really funny and you're really going to enjoy it. Look, many of us keep traveling. Rather, all of us. We do travel, don't we? But before we start the travel, we have to make sure that we have done our packing properly. Right? We have carried all our stuff, we have kept it properly, we have arranged it properly in our bags, and so on and so forth. Right? And then you set off for your journey. Now, let's look at the journey here in the story Packing, the 7th chapter of your Beehive. It is written by Jerome K. Jerome. This is an extract. It is a piece taken from 3 Men in a Boat. And just watch the fun, how we are going to do the packing here. But before that, let's find out a little about Jerome K. Jerome. Jerome Klapka Jerome had a very difficult childhood. He wished to go into politics or be a man of letters. But the death of his father when Jerome was 13 and of his mother when he was 15 forced him to quit his studies and find work to support himself. Very unfortunate childhood. He had to give up everything, his dreams, to make sure that he takes care of himself. Jerome was inspired by his older sister Blandina's love for the theatre, and he decided to try his hand at acting in 1877 under the stage named Harold Crichton. So he went further. He saw his elder sister. She was so dedicated, towards theatre. So even he went on to give his hand. He went to try his hand on the same. And here is the plot. The plot of your story, Packing. Packing is a humorous story, just like I began with. It's a funny story about the confusion and the mess created by people who are inexperienced in the art of packing. Now, when people who are not experienced, who are not very good at packing, who have never done it before, when such people do the packing, oh, it's fun to watch. The narrator of the story and his 2 friends decided to go on a holiday. The author thought that he was an expert in packing. He says, oh, I'm the best. He asked his friends, George and Harris, to leave packing to him. He says, oh, it's okay. छोड़ दो, मैं सब कर लूँगा. Packing, matlab, my duty. I will do it. When he had finished packing, certain things remained out. He opened the bag again. Now, when he was packing, he left one thing here, other thing there. So again and again, he had to keep opening his bag. In the same way, he had to pack and unpack time and again. The packing was still not complete. Inexperienced? They damaged a number of things. They spoilt it, they broke it, and did the job shabbily. I mean, not in a good manner. At last, the packing was completed by 12:50 in the night. They went to bed with the intention of waking up at 6:30 in the morning. Did they? What was the fun? Let's watch all the fun. So, to begin with, I said I'd pack. I rather pride myself on my packing. Pride myself as in I'm proud of my packing. I know I do a good job. Packing is one of those many things that I feel I know more about than any other person living. Wow. Check the confidence. In fact, overconfidence, don't you think? Yes, I am the best. It's like no other person who is living here can do the packing as the way I do. It surprises me myself sometimes how many such things there are. So you see, The author, now let me tell you, this is a narrative story. So the author himself is talking. He's saying, I did this, I did that. So the I is basically the author. So it's a narrative one. Yeah. So the very proud author, the very, proud feeling that I can do the best packing on earth. I impressed the fact upon George and Harris and told them they had better leave the whole matter entirely to me. Just leave it. Don't even bother. Enjoy your life. I will take care of the packing. They fell into the suggestion. They were fine with it. They accepted it. They said, okay, good for us. You do the packing. We will enjoy. They fell into a suggestion with a readiness that had something uncanny about it. Uncanny means something strange. They said, yes, okay, fine, and very strange about it. George spread himself over the easy chair. George went and sat down over the easy chair, and Harris cocked his legs on the table. He was sitting on the table and rocking his, legs. Now, this is hardly what I intended. Now, this is not what I meant, the author says. He's saying, I didn't mean that if I do the packing and they're going to enjoy like this. No ways. What I had meant, of course, was that I should boss the job. And Harris and George should potter about under my directions. Potter about, they should do the unimportant things under my directions. And he's like, this is not what I said. What was my thing was, कि I will boss. I will tell you, अच्छा, आप ये करो, वहाँ से ये लेके आओ, वो करो, the unimportant things. And they should move according to my guidance. This is what was the plan of the author. I pushing them aside every now and then with, oh you, here, let me do it. There you are, simple enough. Really teaching them, as you might say. He says, in fact, oh, they would do all this and I was like, okay, move, let me do it, I'll do it better than you. And I would have, in fact, taught them how to do it because I know the best. So this is what the author felt about it. They are taking it in the way they did irritated me. Now they were relaxing. They were totally on the chair, on the table. Now that the author did not like. He was irritated. He was upset. There is nothing does irritate me more than seeing other people sitting about doing nothing when I'm working. Now, nothing irritates me more than this. How? When I am working and you are going to sit and relax and enjoy yourself? How dare you? That irritates me. That's what the author said. I lived with a man once who used to make me mad that way. Now, previously, sometime he must have lived with a man. He used to live with a man who used to do this exactly the same. And he used to make the author mad. How? He would loll on the sofa to sit or lie in a lazy, relaxed way. I think just like the way you guys do it on a Sunday. Or is it every day? I hope not. On a Sunday, allowed, but not every day. So, they used to sit or lie, that man used to sit or lie in a very lazy or a relaxed manner, and he used to watch me doing things by the hour together. So, you're lying down and you're looking, okay, he's doing this, he's doing this, he's doing that, and he used to get irritated, All the time he used to do that. He said it did him real good to look on at me messing about. He said that man used to say, oh, I enjoy the way you are spoiling things, the way you're messing about. No, I enjoy watching what you are doing. This is how he used to feel. So he used to get really irritated. Now, I'm not like that. Of course, it was then. You change day after day, we keep changing our habits, our thinking. So obviously, right now, he was not the same. I can't sit still and see another man slaving and working. He's saying, I can't do that. How can you sit down and that poor person is working so hard? Don't you think it's your duty also to get up and help? Automatically, we all get up and we pitch in. I want to get up and superintend. Superintend, that means Be responsible for the management or arrangement of. I want to oversee. I want to make sure that everything is being looked after very well. I want to play the manager, right? So this is what he felt. And walk around with my hands in my pockets and tell him what to do. Okay, do this. Fine, do that. Yeah, okay, keep this here. This is what he wanted to do. He just wanted to be a boss. He wanted to play the boss. He did not want to do anything else. It is my energetic nature. I can't help it. He says, oh, this is my nature. This is how I am. I like to be the boss. Let others do their jobs. However, I did not say anything. Now coming back to the story where George and Harris are. So he says, fine, I did not say anything. They both went and sat down and I was supposed to do the packing. But I started the packing. I quietly started. It seemed a longer job than I had thought it was going to be. He thought he would finish it very fast. He said, I can just finish it so fast. But it did not take him. It took him much more time. But I got the bag finished at last. And I sat on it and strapped it. He says, finally, I saw there's nothing. And he just packed, closed the bag and he strapped it. I sat on it. Sometimes the bags don't. So you sit on the bag and then you put that zipper around it. And that's how he felt I had done with it. Ain't you going to put the boots in? Asked Harris. He says, hey, the boots are lying there. You're not going to put them in the bag? And I looked round and I found that I had forgotten them. Oh, good Lord. I had finished the packing and the boots were lying outside. Maybe I did not notice them. That's just like Harris. Now, Harris could have said it to him when he saw him packing. When he was about to put the zip, when he closed the bag, he should have told him then. But you know what that smarty did? He says, oh, let him pack. I'll make him open. He is boasting, with full pride and full ego that I do the best packing. Now let me see how he does it. So, that's how friends are. I hope you don't have such friends. Neither are you such type of a friend. So that's how Harris is. He really knows how to trouble. He couldn't have said a word until I'd got the bag shut and strapped, of course. He says, couldn't he tell me that earlier? But no, why would he know? He is my friend, that very, very cunning and a very sly friend. And George laughed. George was enjoying the show. He also started laughing. One of those irritating, senseless laughs of his. It was so irritating. He was getting angry. They do make me so wild. They make me so angry. I opened the bag and packed the boots in, and then just as I was going to close it, a horrible idea occurred to me. Now, fine. He just very quietly took the boots, he packed it in, and he was just about to pack, and suddenly he got an idea. Something struck him. What was that? Had I packed my toothbrush? He says, okay, I did so much packing. Did I put my toothbrush inside? I was not sure. I don't know how it is, but I never do know whether I've packed my toothbrush. He's saying, everything I remember, whatever I've packed. But I don't know why, when it comes to toothbrush, I always forget, have I packed it or I haven't? He was not sure about it. My toothbrush is a thing that haunts me. Literally, repeatedly gives trouble. This thought always, whenever I do the packing, I have this problem. And it haunts me when I'm traveling and makes my life a misery. It irritates me. The whole packing is done and then I have to think of that toothbrush. I dream that I haven't packed it. Now the thought comes, oh, I'm sure I haven't packed it. And wake up in a cold perspiration. I wake up in a cold perspiration. I wake up feeling extremely nervous, anxious or terrified. I haven't packed my toothbrush. That's how he feels. And get out of bed and hunt for it. He says, again, I get out of bed and then I keep looking for it. Now, in the morning, I pack it before I have used it and I have to unpack again to get it. and it is always the last thing I turn out of the bag, and then I repack and forget it, and I have to rush upstairs for it at the last moment and carry it to the railway station wrapped up in my pocket handkerchief. Wow, I'm sure this is definitely haunting. Yeah, isn't it? Now, what happens is, and in the morning, I pack it off. And I don't realize that my train is maybe whatever, 9, 10. But in the morning, I have to brush. I forget that and I pack it off. Right? Then again, I have to unpack. And generally what we do, we put it in a pouch and we put the pouch inside. So the whole thing literally opens up when you have to remove your brush. Yeah. So they unpack again to get it. And then what he does, it is always the last thing I turn out of the bag. You remove it from the bag and then I repack and forget it. And then, he repacks it and then he forgets that he has to put the brush in. Then again I have to rush upstairs, wherever his room or his washroom is. At the last minute, I have to take that brush, wrap it in my pocket handkerchief and carry it to the station. That was too much. Of course, I had to turn every mortal thing out now. Now, that thought was disturbing him, that have I put the brush in or not, right? So he had to turn every mortal thing, as in every ordinary thing he had to remove out. I told you, the brush will be in a pouch, the pouch will be down. So he had to remove everything. And of course, I could not find it. He did everything, he removed everything and he did not find his brush. I rummaged the things up into much the same state that they must have been before the world was created. Wow. See the way they have played with words. I rummaged as in I searched in a hurry, move. The whole thing, and the bag was fully gone. The packing, the so-called packing, totally ruined, totally spoiled. It was in that condition, in the same state that they must have been before the world was created. And when chaos reigned, chaos as in the state of utter confusion was going on everywhere, that is the time. Of course, I found George's and Harris's 18 times over. I found their toothbrushes nearly 18 times. Again and again I was, finding their toothbrush, but I couldn't find my own. The author is like, he found theirs so many times, he literally says 18 times, and he says, but I couldn't find my own. I put the things back one by one. Now, literally he removed everything and again one thing he put back and held everything up and shook it. Now, you try your cloth, you try your towel, you try your dress. Oh, maybe it's here. Oh, maybe it's got slipped. So, you keep doing this. Maybe the brush comes out. Then I found it where? Inside a boot. It had gone away into a boot. I repacked once more. So, now you see why it became 12:50? Yes. So, again, he had to pack everything all over. When I had finished, George asked if the soap was in. Now, Harris did his job, right? He irritated him with the boots. Now, it was George's turn. So, he's asking him, hey, did you pack the soap? I said I didn't care a hang whether the soap was in or whether it wasn't. He was so irritated by then. He says, I don't care whether it is there or it's not. Doesn't matter to me any longer. And I slammed the bag shut and strapped it and found that I had packed my spectacles in it. So it's a never-ending packing. Again, he has to repack, he has to unpack, and then he had to reopen it. It got shut up finally at 10:05 p.m. And then there remained the hampers to do. So one bag got done at 10:05, but the packing was not over. Why? Because large baskets which were supposed to carry food, those hampers were yet left to do. That packing had to be done. This was only the clothes and stuff. Now the food part had to be done. Harris said that we should be wanting to start in less than 12 hours time and thought that he and George had better do the rest, and I agreed and sat down and they had a go. Now he said, okay, fine. Now, little bit pity they had on their friend. They told him, okay, now we have less than 12 hours to, to leave. Now what we'll do is, let George and me do the needful. We will do the packing now. Let us do the hamper. You sit down. Now, enough you showed us, like you can do the packing. We saw what a great packer you are. But now you watch us, how we do the packing of the hampers. They began in a light-hearted spirit. They began with, oh, this is not going to take much time. The way he took time to pack the bag, you see how fast we pack the hamper. Evidently intending to show me how to do it. They were like, oh, this is, so cool. They were like trying to show him, look what you've done and see how fast we are going to do. I made no comment. I saw it. I did not utter a word. I only waited. With the exception of George, Harris is the worst packer in this world. You need to remember this because in one-liners, in one-mark questions, this can come. So out of the three, Harris was the worst packer. And I looked at the piles of plates and cups and kettles and bottles and jars and pies and stoves and cakes and tomatoes, etc. These were all the items which they had to pack in that hamper. And still more, etc. means there was more to come. And I felt that the thing would soon become exciting. He says, oh my God. Now, can you imagine you're packing a hamper and it has plates, cups, kettles, bottles, jars, pies, stoves, cakes and tomatoes even to pack. Those things will go pachka. Don't you think? So he says, okay, it's going to be great fun. Let me see how they pack all these items. It did. It became very exciting. They started with breaking a cup. First, they started with breaking a cup. That was the first thing they did. That was the first wrong thing they did. They did that just to show you what they could do and to get you interested. This is okay, fine. It was just a cup. It just broke. Fine, you just watch further how we go ahead. Then Harris packed the strawberry jam. Where? On top of a tomato. Strawberry jam jar on a tomato and squashed it. And they had to pick out the tomato with a teaspoon. Now, obviously, all the juice came out, right? The tomato was totally squashed. So they had to remove it with a spoon. They couldn't remove it with a hand. Right? So they used, it was totally flat, soft, totally out of shape as a result of being crushed. Then it was George's turn. Now that was the first thing, that was the second, third, what is the mistake they have done? And he trod on the butter. He trod on as in he stepped. Now they were packing. So suddenly he just stepped on the butter. I didn't say anything. The author is watching all the fun. But I came over and sat on the edge of the table and watched them. It irritated them more than anything I could have said. So the author was also playing very smart. What he did was, so when they were doing all this nonsense, he went in the front and he sat at the edge of the table and he's just watching them. Like this. He didn't utter a word. Now this irritated them much more than if he would have said anything. So this is silent criticism. It is called, when you are not saying anything but you mean it. That's called silent criticism. And students, that really, really hurts much more than anyone saying it out to you. Because you don't know what is going on in his mind and that really bugs you, really makes you angry. I felt that. It made them nervous and excited. And they stepped on things and they put the things behind them and then couldn't find them. when they wanted them. Now what they had to pack, they're putting behind. How will they find and put it inside? They couldn't find them. And they packed the pies at the bottom. Now a pie is a very soft thing. We all know what's a pie, right? So that's a soft thing. He put it at the bottom, right down, and then other things on top of the pie. And put heavy things on top and smashed the pies in. Even the pies were gone. So you see the list. You should actually be noting down what happened first, what happened second, what happened third. You should know all of it, because when the whole process is asked, maybe as a 5-mark question, you will be able to answer in the right sequence. Yes? So now the pies are also gone. They upset salt over everything. Literally, there was salt everywhere. And as for the butter, you know what happened? Watch it. I never saw 2 men do more with 1 and 2 pence worth of butter in my whole life than they did. Now that butter was worth 1 or 2 pence. And these guys, they spent so much time over it. I had never seen anyone do that. After George had got it off his slipper, now you remember George had stepped on the butter, yes? Now it was on his slipper, obviously. So after he had got it off his slipper, they tried to put it in the kettle. Oops. It wouldn't go in, and what was in wouldn't come out. Now that kettle was there, but how do they put the butter in and how do they remove it out? They did scrape it out at last and put it down on a chair. They finally managed to remove it from there, but they kept it on a chair. And wow, Harris sat on it. So that 1 or 2 pence, the 2 people playing with butter literally, and it stuck to him. Now obviously it was on his bottoms, and they went looking for it over the room. Now the butter was on the bottom and they are looking everywhere. Where is the butter? Where did we keep the butter? The butter was here only. Where did the butter go? I'll take my oath. I'll give a promise. I put it down on that chair, said George, staring at the empty seat. He says, I swear to God, I had kept it on that chair. It was just there. I'm 100% sure, but right now it's not there. It's an empty chair. I saw you do it myself not a minute ago. Harris says, yeah, even I saw you do it. It's just a minute back. Then they started round the room again looking for it, and then they met again in the center and they stared at one another. They both went round, round, round. They went and then they came together and they're staring at each other. Most extraordinary thing I ever heard of, said George. George said, oh my God, I have never heard anything like this. Within a minute, the butter disappears. So mysterious, said Harris. Now, isn't that a big fat joke about the butter? He says, this is mysterious. How can the butter disappear? It was there just a minute back. Then George got round at the back of Harris and saw it. Then finally, George went round and suddenly he saw it was there on Harris's bottom. Why, here it is all the time, he exclaimed indignantly. He says, oh my God, it's right here, in a manner indicating anger or annoyance at something. He says, look, it's here. Where? Cried Harris, spinning around. He's saying, where is it? Now, it was on his bottom. Stand still, can't you? Just stand there, roared George, flying after him. And they got it off and packed it in a teapot. Ouch. So now the butter, the box must be, it went where? Finally in a teapot. The butter got packed. Montmorency was in it all, of course. Montmorency's ambition in life is to get in the way and be sworn at. Now, sworn at as in be scolded. Why? Because that is what he always wanted. If he can squirm in anywhere, he can just make his way anywhere, where he particularly is not wanted. Now, when you don't want him, he will come just there and be a perfect nuisance. He is just going to irritate you. He's going to make you mad and make people totally mad and have things thrown at his head. Then he feels his day has not been wasted. When people start doing that to him, then he feels, oh, that was a wonderful day. In fact, that was a perfect day because he wanted those things to happen to him. So this is the great Montmorency. To get somebody to stumble over him, you want someone to trip over him, or he wanted people to lose balance because he would come in the middle and curse him steadily for an hour. Curse him steadily, as in just keep, because you fall obviously, so you get so irritated and you just shout at him, is his highest aim and object. That is exactly what he wants. And when he has succeeded in accomplishing this, his conceit becomes quite unbearable. His conceit, as in his pride in himself, that self-pride. Oh wow, I made it today. This is what he does. It becomes quite unbearable. He fluffs up like a balloon that, oh yes, I made it. He came and sat down on things. Now Montmorency also, apart from George and Harris, did the nonsense. He added to the nonsense. He came and sat down on things just when they were wanted to be packed. Now they wanted to pack it, they went to take, he would go and sit on that. And he labored under the fixed belief that whenever Harris or George reached out their hand for anything, it was his cold, damp nose that they wanted. Now, every time, he had sort of understood. Now, when they tried to take the box, when they would go and touch the box like they're packing, so they would take the box and suddenly instead of the box, their hands would fall on the nose. Why? Because he was sitting on them. Yeah, he was sitting on the box. So he had sort of understood it. He wanted to just do it. He wanted to really trouble them to the core. He put his leg into the jam. Wow. And he worried the teaspoons and he pretended that the lemons were rats and got into the hamper and killed 3 of them before Harris could land him with the frying pan. Now you see, the hampers were being packed so beautifully. So actually, if you really visualize this scene, you will really laugh it out. You will laugh it loud. LOL, laugh out loud. Yeah? Harris said, I encouraged him. I didn't encourage him. Harris is saying, I encouraged him. That means the author. You told him to do this. See, why would I do that? I didn't encourage him. A dog like that doesn't want any encouragement. He himself just does it. It's the natural, original sin that is born in him that makes him do things like that. In fact, it is that act, which is regarded as a serious fault. Now, he is born with that. It's very original. He's come with that. Why would I encourage him? He just always wants to do it. That's his nature. So, that makes him really do things like that. I can't help it. The packing was finally done at 12:50. You remember the time in the plot? And Harris sat on the big hamper and said he hoped nothing would be found broken. Now, he is so great now. He sat on the hamper and then he's saying, I hope nothing would be broken. George said that if anything was broken, it was broken, which reflection seemed to comfort him. Which reflection, I mean, which thought, it actually was there to come. Now, if it's gone, it's gone. Now, nothing more to do. Let it be. I don't care. He also said he was ready for bed. He says, now I'm really tired and I really want to sleep. We were all ready for bed. Harris was to sleep with us that night and we went upstairs. Now, Harris had come with them, so he was supposed to sleep with them. We tossed for beds and Harris had to sleep with me. He says, Harris, now they tossed. Okay, where should he sleep? So he was supposed to sleep with the author. He said, do you prefer the inside or the outside, Jay? He asked me, he says, where do you want to sleep, in the inner side or the outer side? Where do you want to sleep? I said, I generally prefer to sleep inside a bed. Harris said, it was odd. Now that's funny. Inside a bed? George said, what time shall I wake you fellows? Okay, now what time should we get up? Harris said, 7. I said, no, 6, because I wanted to write some letters. He says, no. At 6 o'clock, wake me up because I have to write some letters. Harris and I had a bit of a row over it. Row as in a noisy, acrimonious quarrel. We just said no. He said 6 and I said 6 and he said 7. I said 6 and he said 7. And so it went on. But at last, split the difference. They agreed at 6:30. Halfway between 6 and 7. Okay, fine. Neither 6 nor 7 at 6:30. And said, 6:30. Wake us at 6:30, George, we said. George made no answer, and we found on going over that he had been asleep for some time. So what we great people did, we placed the bath where he could tumble into it. Tumble as in fall suddenly or clumsily into it on getting out in the morning, and went to bed ourselves. So again, before sleeping, another prank. So they placed the bathtub in such a manner, so that when he gets up from his sleep, immediately you don't open your eyes. You tend to just get up and you just walk a bit with half sleepy, half open eyes, and he would go straight into that. Now that was the plan. That's how they had planned for him. Yeah. And then finally they went to sleep. Now here we come to the end of this wonderful, funny, humorous story. Plans are of little importance, but planning is essential, says Winston Churchill. He says, plans are of little importance. The plan what you make, but actually planning is important. Right? When you make the plans, the planning, that is way important. And do you think it was a very well planned packing? No way. Not even 0.1%. Yes, it was. That's how it made the whole story funny. Yeah. So learn to do your packing yourselves. Start learning now. Whenever you have to pack, don't depend. I'm sure by now you all do your own packing. You're grown up enough. I'm sure the mothers don't take the trouble any longer, because you know which charger you need and which battery and which backups and everything, the power banks. And you see, these days we are packing different things, different items, because we need them all. You need your camera, your lens and the cover and so many things. Yeah, maybe the drone or the GoPro and stuff like that. But do plan it. Do plan your packing and also plan your time. How you utilize your time. Don't waste it like them. No ways. Yes? So make the best of the time available to you and keep planning, keep watching and keep learning.